using the internet almost constantly. This is all from that researcher, Jonathan Haidt. Some of the slides you get from other pieces of information: Common Sense Media, Psychology Today, American Association of Pediatrics. The one on the top left really surprises me. 50+% of students get 237 notifications a day. I would challenge you as an adult to go check your device later and look at how many notifications you received a day and where do they come from. I did this on a Monday. I got 137 notifications during the school day. 112 were from the chat system we use in school to notify me of something going on at work. Well, that's kind of crazy. So 112 times somebody was asking me a question or interrupting me through my phone, even if I had something else going on. So if I'm in a classroom watching a teacher, or if I'm doing something else or talking with a kid, no, there's something buzzing at me saying, hey, I need to ask you a question, I need to ask you a question. So it's just interrupting. On the leading end, some kids receive 4,500 notifications a day. That's crazy. If you sleep 8 hours a day, you roughly have 1,400 minutes left in your day. So some of these kids, we saw one on a Sunday, he got 2,000 Snapchat notifications on one Sunday. Okay, one of our seniors here at the hospital, because I went in welding class and said, oh, hey, show me all your notifications, get out your phones. And they started showing them all to me. Miss Brooks in our character employability leadership class, she has them put them on the desk, and for 45 minutes they track how many notifications they get coming in. It's really crazy. So twice every 1 minute, the student was getting a notification. And if we talk about that in a face-to-face term, so if I'm standing here talking and somebody came up and tapped me on the shoulder and told me something, we would consider that rude because we're having a conversation. But we don't with the devices, and we just accept it as normal nowadays. Phones prevent face-to-face communication. We're going to talk about that in a minute. It's called asynchronous communication. It's pretty interesting. Since COVID, we've learned some things about that. Phones that have schools that have restricted phones see a steep drop in bullying. 46% of girls and 43% of boys saw a decrease when bans were enacted. 1/3 of all teens will report they've been exposed to pornography during the school day because of the device. That's a really scary tactic. I know I don't want to single him out, but my personal child, my oldest, who's no longer here, his first interaction with pornography was in 6th grade at the lunchroom table. Because he saw a group of boys that were laughing, he thought it was funny, he looked up and he saw a picture he'd never seen before. It's like, whoa. Back in the day, you kind of walked into the social cues. It was late in the evening, you were at somebody's house, you knew somebody's dad, it was like, oh, we can get away with this, and you planned it out. But nowadays it's so easy, they don't even know what they're walking into half the time at very early ages. And then kids spend 3+ hours on social media. Some of the others, 35% of teens admit to using their cell phone to cheat. 41% of teens with the highest social media usage on the right rate their overall mental health as poor or very poor. That's their own rating of how they feel and what's going on. So it's one of those things that we really need to talk about this and figure out. Each additional hour of total screen time increases the odds of suicidal behaviors. That gets scary when we start talking about all the screen time. So Mr. Haidt says if you count all the time that teens are actively thinking about social media while multitasking, it means teens spend around 16 hours per day in which they are not fully present in whatever's going on around them. That includes sporting events when they're watching, that includes band events, that includes whatever during the school day. They're just not present. They're always looking at something else or what else is going on around them. They don't fully engage in what we're doing. So some FAQs, there's a guide called the Administrator's Guide to to Phone-Free Schools. They did some FAQs of parents and others around. So frequently asked questions by parents. Isn't it better to teach kids to use their phones responsibly? Well, brain science research and expert psychiatrists say the adolescent brain is not able to manage the addictive pool of the phones, and that these platforms are deliberately designed to be addictive. And I mean, that scares me. Anything that I know is deliberately trying to be addicted to my child, I ask deep questions of, all right? But I don't with the phone, because I'm like, here, take it. And we need to stop and kind of ask some of these questions. And we need to help kids understand that phones are a tool, not something you have to have all the time, all right? Will it be harder for students to make connections and friends if they're offline all day? This is where we talk about asynchronous. So right now, you and me, we're in what's called a synchronous conversation. Actually, you're listening, I'm talking. But I can see you, you can see me. If you get up and walk away, I'm going to know, because I'm going to see it, and you have to have the courage to be able to, I'm leaving because I have a reason to leave. And it might be normal, I need to go to the restroom, or I need to do something like that. That's all normal. But on the phone, that doesn't exist. You can escape or leave any conversation anytime you want without their knowledge. And you don't even have to necessarily engage. Everything is at your will and your pleasure. Whereas right now, it's going to cost me if I get up and leave. Like, everybody's going to see it in this room, so it better be worth it, right? You have a little bit of buy-in. In normal synchronous conversations, you have to find a way into the conversation. So if you're at the lunchroom table, you have to walk up, sit down, and engage in the conversation. And if you walk away, you miss out. So this asynchronous thing is really a new trend that's coming out that we're learning about. That how do we teach kids to be in asynchronous? That's okay at times. But we need to teach them how to have synchronous conversations too, when they're with people face to face. Is it important to allow our children to be independent during the school day? Yes, absolutely. Students need independence from their parents and guardians during the school day to develop the foundational skills they need to be successful. One of the things that gets really difficult, especially at the high school level, is, these kids are graduating, they're 18. I am a deputy voter registrar because I have to by law, because some of these kids can vote now. We have to provide a platform that they can register to vote, which is great, but they're full adults. They can graduate and they can go to war for this country if they so choose. It's deep commitments they can make now. I hope by the time they graduate, they have the independence, they can make those choices. Still talk with mom and dad, still communicate, but it's time they make their decisions, right? So we got to foster that independence. Let's talk about threats a little bit. So we had some threats at the high school in the fall. So we had a threat that was posted in Godley ISD under a fake account. Some kid got on there, made an account, they posted they were bringing a gun to school tomorrow. Created a big rigmarole. Chief Quinteros is awesome and amazing. He was out until 4 a.m. knocking on doors, waking people up, trying to figure out what was going on. The sheriff's office, Johnson County deputies were out knocking on doors. A lot of people were awake to make sure nothing was going to happen at school tomorrow. And nobody knows about all that, but he is waking people up at 2 a.m. and parents are like, why are you here? And he's like, we have this. I need to talk to your kid right now. Instagram accounts elsewhere will flag anything that says gun, school, or shooting. So right now, the Swimmer Hutchins stuff that's going on, there are people all over the country that are getting that in their feed. Information about, gun shooting automatically pops up on their Instagram feed, on their Facebook feeds, on their Snapchats, whatever they got, okay? And then they will create a new account that mimics whatever one they saw, and then they will make their post from wherever they are. So we had one post that was a student here at school that we caught, and we followed the code of conduct and disciplined them accordingly. And then the second post that came in the very next day was from Los Angeles. We found it because Chief was really good at talking to Instagram, saying we need this IP address. They finally gave it to us, which they protect their security seriously. So they don't like to give up their IP addresses, Instagram and Facebook and the others. But we got it, and he was in LA. Nowhere even near us at all. But it created quite the rigmarole here, even though he wasn't around. So you will see Godley, or a Burleson police officer that I talked to, they frequently see threats that pop up in Burleson that are from New England or California all the time. Because kids just copy it from wherever they are, or adults, doesn't matter. Chief Quinteros makes an interesting statement. Students want to be an influencer, so they'll accept any friend request. This is a topic Chief and I have been talking about quite a bit. Kids want to be an influencer so bad that they will do anything it takes if they think it'll get them influential status. That's not really a healthy mindset at times to have. There's some things you need to influence on, and that's good, but you need to be really careful. Like, we teach kids, don't go get in a car with somebody you don't know. We don't necessarily teach that online anymore, and we need to. Like, who's following you? Who are your friends? Whose friends requests did you accept? Who are you following, right? Digital citizenship is a new thing that's coming out that we're starting to teach in our lower grades because kids need to know about this, right? Okay, what about emergency operations? One of the big deals is, okay, you restrict phones. What about if there's an emergency and we need to take care of our kids? We need to figure something out, all right? First off, best practice in an emergency is for students to follow direct instructions of the adults that are in charge at that event, right? When people are getting outside information, it creates an unsafe environment for everybody that's working the scene because now we aren't all in the same boat, right? GISD will send frequent announcements through Parent Square and social media outlets to make sure parents are informed of what's going on and when to find it. I think a great example today, Fox 4 published something on the Wilmer Hutchins shooting, and they said, reunification information will be sent soon. Please bear with us. All the kids are headed to Eagle Stadium right now. Great, we know where they're going to be, and we're about to reunify everybody. I thought it was a really good post that the media outlets put out so parents knew where they could go get their kids. We have trained kids here, though, in Godley High School because this is quite an open campus. So if something were to be going on at the Wild over there and kids are here in the main building, stay here or escape the situation. If you're in the CLI and you hear something on the 3rd floor, run away. You're old enough, you can run away. Use your phone to call your parents and have a designated pickup spot. CEFCO, further down, somewhere else. Like, we train them to run and keep themselves alive. It's no longer, hey, hide somewhere. If you're somewhere that's unsafe, then hide. Otherwise, run away. That's what training tells us to do. The Joshua ISD incident, so a year ago, they had a gun threat happen on campus. I don't know if y'all remember this one. There was a gun at Joshua High School. It turns out it was a balloon that popped. Kids started saying it was a gun, so they went on complete lockdown. Police were searching the rooms, they were opening the doors, everything was working as it should. One kid literally texted his parents and said, "I have been shot." It was a total lie, but the kid just wanted influencer status. He wanted to make a statement that would get attention. If that was my kid, that'd be a thing. But it's one of those things, it's just kids just post whatever they want because they're not in that synchronous conversation, right? They don't see the results or the effects those have. As the police were securing the building, parents started overrunning the barricade trying to get to their children. Well, that creates a pretty dangerous situation now because we are in Johnson County. I support Second Amendment rights, like a good Texan that I am. However, we don't need people bringing more guns on the campus that we don't know. The police are there, they need to keep it safe. We will keep your kids safe, that is our #1 priority, and we will get them back to you as fast as we can, I promise. But if more people start coming into the scene, it makes it way more difficult for the police to do their job and keep everybody safe. This is from the National School Safety and Security Services information. So they say on the second bullet right there, the one I really want to point out, cell phone use by students can hamper rumor control, and in doing so, disrupt and delay effective public safety personnel responses. Another grand example that happened here at Godley High School in the past, we had a student that was changing clothes in the bathroom. He took off his belt, the belt hit the ground. One kid thought it sounded like a gun. Reported that he heard a gun clicking in the bathroom. Okay? He did the right thing, he came and got adults, we went and checked, we're running all over here trying to figure out what's going on. It made it on a social media post, it made it to the 4th floor of the Wild, and by the time it got up there, it was a gun and 2 people had been shot. Not true, nowhere near the truth. The kids just take it and it's like the old telephone game. What thing can you say that ups the kid who just said something? So just something to keep on. And then the more people that show up, they can jam communications, interfering with first responders' ability to communicate and keep everybody safe. So from the experts of the field, everybody running to the scene is really not the best case scenario. We need you to be patient and wait. Let them do the job they're trained to do. We had the first responders all out here the other night. Turns out it was a false alarm, but it was awesome. I don't know how many police officers there were up here. There were 30 or so, but they were from everywhere. The Texas Alcohol Commission, the deputies from Johnson County, who else was all up here? Godley PD, the constables, Joshua ISD police, Tarrant County, the DPS, they had the troopers were up here. I mean, everybody that was in the animal control guy from Godley was up here. He's the guy that first responded, so kudos to him. God takes care of the animals was up here. It was really cool. But they were communicating, clearing everything, and it was really cool to watch them like, okay, where are my teams, who's where, who's doing what? It worked really cool, but they have to communicate, and if we get in the way, it's a real problem. So, what happens when phones become school-free? When schools become phone-free on the other side of that? Yonder pouches are one thing that some schools have adopted. Grandview is one that has adopted this. This is a bag that locks with a magnetic lock, so the phone stays locked up all day. They report 83% saw an improvement in engagement in the classroom, 74% saw an improvement in student behavior, and 65% saw an improvement in academic performance. La Vega High School is a suburb north of Waco. So they instituted a cell phone ban in 2023. So these are their December STAR EOC exams. So students at high school have to pass 5 EOCs to graduate: algebra, English, bio, history. If they fail in the spring, they can take it in the summer. If they fail, they take it again in December. So these are the kids that are retesting and trying to pass. You can see in 2021 and 22, they had phones open on their campus. And in 23 was the first year they instituted the restriction or the ban. They got the Yonder pouches. There was an 18% gain in algebra, 19 in English, 12 in English 2, 50 in biology, and 48% gain in U.S. history on those kids taking that test and passing that test. So this is direct results to get these kids to graduate. Outstanding results for La Vega. And the principal talks about it. It was a news article. The only thing they did was restrict the cell phones. No special tutoring, no anything else like that. It was no phones. We're done with phones. We're putting them in the pouches. This is their discipline. You can see right over there on the side. This is the fall of 23. So their discipline is that top line graph going across. When they instituted the phones, the discipline dropped to almost nothing. This is the APs having to talk to kids, having to deal with issues, having to investigate things. It almost goes away when the phones aren't there. This is Godley High School. So Godley, a bigger district than us. So this is their teacher survey after 6 weeks of instituting a cell phone restriction. The teachers over there on the left, 49 and 38, so almost 90% observed less disciplinary issues in their classrooms. Students tend to be more engaged. They spend more time on teaching and learning and less on fighting with the phones and the kids, so teachers can do their job, not have to fight with other things. And then they've seen positive changes in student behavior and choices since the phones went away. So kids are making better choices. They're better people, better students overall. The principal directly reported that in the first 6 weeks failure report from the previous year, it almost cut in half from 12% failing to 6.8% failing on the first 6 weeks. Now the first 6 weeks is always the easiest one because the kids are fresh in the beginning of the year, it's a little bit easier. So the fact that they cut that one in half to 6% is just remarkable. She said the only thing they did was restrict phones. No other changes to the campus, no change in schedule, no anything like that, just a cell phone restriction. And then she told me a little bit of it, I call it a dramatic story. Kids do things on the weekends. They were at a party, and a boy and girl decided to engage in certain activities. And because they're at a party, and this is the world they live in, somebody recorded it on video. Normally, that video would show up on Monday at school because you get to see the reaction of everybody when this inappropriate video goes out, just destroying these two kids' lives, more or less. They didn't hear about it for 3 weeks, 2 weeks. They didn't hear about it for 2 weeks from when that video was normally taken. On a normal year, she would have said, we'd have caught that on Monday, and admin and everybody would have been dealing with it all week long. Calling parents, dealing with kids crying, and it destroys their life. It's no good. That kid that recorded it, that was wrong. Shouldn't have done that. But not everybody else should have seen it either. Now the school doesn't have to worry about it because there's no audience to see what happens. She said it drastically improved their students dealing with stuff. Commissioner of Education, Mike Morak, he said if it were in my power, I would have already banned them in all schools in the state. That was in the September of 2024 at a Senate Education Committee hearing. In the current legislation session, 89th legislative session right now, these are all the bills already being proposed for cell phone restrictions in schools. So the government is getting involved now. They're already, more than likely what we anticipate it'll say is the schools have to write a plan. Great. Well, that's what we're doing. We're trying to work on this now. We're trying to get ahead of the game a little bit. But one of these bills, I think it was the House Bill 1258, Adopt a Policy Prohibiting Device Use. There were 75 co-authors, and it only takes 76 to pass it, right? So it's going to pass. It's going to go through. This is something everybody can kind of agree on. We need to do something about this. And then we're not alone. Mr. Carnes talked about this earlier. Several other districts around the state. I pointed to La Vega, Abilene, Wiley, Grandview has done it. Several schools around us. Multiple states have done this. Foreign countries. Sweden has adopted an entire ban in their entire country because they found 83% of their schools were already banning phones. So they said, fine, let's just do it as a whole country. So the whole country is now banning them as part of their policy. So what is our current policy? And then we're almost done and we're to the survey. Teachers have discretion right now to allow students to use phones for academic or behavioral reasons, so like rewards, if the kids are behaving, they want to listen to music, things like that. Phones are allowed during lunch and passing periods. Restrooms and locker rooms during the school day are restricted. If a student is caught with their phone in the bathroom, they can receive disciplinary consequence. So right now, they can have them out, lunch, passing periods, and at teacher discretion. Restrooms and locker rooms are always a no because those are just inappropriate areas to have it out. The proposed would look something like this. Cellular devices and devices that connect to your cell phone, which include watches, headphones, or AirPods, would be put away at the first bell and not allowed until the final dismissal bell at the end of the school day. Exceptions could be granted by campus administration per teacher request for specific academic purposes or as a reward for campus initiatives. So for example, if we had this awesome, amazing attendance and we were really great, then on Fridays, kids might be able to get their phones out, during lunch or something like that as a reward for being in school. There are also approved purposes. We understand there are memorable moments in high school, like homecoming pep rally, senior events at the end of the year, other times that they want to take photos. So pep rallies, they might be okay. Get your phones out, take all the photos you want at pep rallies or things like that. There are times we can say phones are okay. But on the general, phones would not be allowed during the school day. Some teachers use them specifically. For example, band has an app that shows the kids where to march for their show every fall. It's called, I don't know what it's called, Drill Master or something. Anyway, the kids could use them for a few days to learn their specific steps, and then they put them away, they wouldn't need them anymore. Mr. Walker could ask for that, we could approve it, everything would be good. The Spanish teacher, they use them for foreign language, so kids talking to them, it gives direct feedback on learning the foreign language, so they might use them for that. So there could be very specific reasons if a teacher asks, we say yes, but only for that amount of time and then put them back up, okay? Exceptions, we talked about those, memorable moments, approved classroom activities, medical notes, kids that have diabetes monitoring, obviously we wouldn't take it away if they have a medical need that they need their phone. We have a few of those that track it for that. And then attendance incentives we have talked about, or other ideas y'all can think of that we haven't, would be good reasons to maybe exempt, let us know. One of our big pushes is attendance, trying to get kids here more, so that'd be one reason I would definitely do it. Consequences would look something like this. The first one, we pick it up, we keep it in the front office, the student would pick it up. We're trying to foster their independence, let them have the first go at getting this problem fixed. The second offense would be phone held in the office, and we call the parent and then give it back to the student just so the parent knows, hey, this was number 2. The third one, you're going to be more involved. And then the third one, the phone would be in the front office, but the parent would have to come pick it up, and then we would have to create a plan that the phone doesn't show up again during the school day. Okay? We used to have a policy that it was $15. Look, we're not trying to get rich. We thought that might affect kids more. It's just trying to change behavior. We don't want that to be about us making money or anything like that. This is about what's best for kids and learning. So it's just going to be, you get your phone back, but we need y'all to be more involved if it's the third go that the kid's not following the rules. So please come up with a plan with us that we can help make sure this doesn't happen. Okay? So just general advice as we wrap up, we're about to show the survey and then take any questions that you have. Advice for general parenting tips that I have found that researchers tell me I should do. I'm not great at these by any stretch. I struggle as a parent as well. But set limits with your kids on everything. Plenty of rest and screens down. I've got one that he's a reader. He'll go to bed at 8:30, but then he's not asleep till 11 because he's been reading for 2.5 hours. I'm like, oh, I forgot. I got to go check on him at 9 to make sure his book is put away. This is a big one, and I tell parents all the time, there is no such thing as child privacy in your home. Okay, there is privacy here at school, but not in your house. You can search your kid's device, and I recommend that you search it regularly for anything that's going on. Kids are really smart, and apps are really smart. There's a really good website called Smart Safe Social, but there are apps that look like a calculator device, and it is a phone vault for pictures. So it looks and functions just like the app calculator on the iPhone app, but if you hit the correct 4-digit code, it opens up pictures behind it. That is where predators store all the photos they don't want anybody to see. It's the number one spot police find all the things they shouldn't. I encourage dinner with your kids 5 times a week without the phone. Talk to them about what's going on. That doesn't have to be at home. That can be anywhere, but just sit and talk. When you put food in front of people, their mouths have to open up and they have to talk. Right? Teenagers don't like to talk, but they will if you give them food, I promise. And an easy one, even if you're wavering on any of it, just have the child turn off notifications. That really makes the phone a tool. Don't let the notifications be constantly asking for your attention. Just turn off the notification, and then when you want to get your phone out, use it during that time. But don't let the phone always be like, hey, pick me up. I need you to, see me or whatever. That really interrupts what the kids have going on. So with all that said, this is really ironic. We're going to ask you to get your phone out and take a QR code so you can complete a survey. But there are benefits. There are good things about it. This is a survey that you can link onto. We ask that you complete it and put back any feedback that you have or any questions that you have. Our next steps are to collect all this together, put the next survey out for a little while, and then we'll take a presentation to our school board. We appreciate one of our school board members is here tonight, Ms. Krista Hunter. She's actually come to all 3 of these presentations, so we appreciate that she's trying to listen to what parents are thinking. Also want to thank our lead learner and superintendent, Dr. Rich Deere, is over here. He has also come and listened to each presentation to be a resource and support for what's going on. And I've got a teacher over here, actually Mr. Munschauer is over here, so one of my high school teachers and boys athletic coaches, so we're glad that he's here tonight. But he has an 8th grader in the district, so it's valuable to him as well. So anyway, with that, there's a survey. Are there any other questions or anything we can... Oh, yeah. Okay, yonder bags were discussed. We are not recommending the yonder bags at all. In our first 2 meetings, parents have been like, no, we don't want them locked up. We want them they can still get to them. We're good with them being put away, but we don't want them locked in a bag. So yonder bags are not being recommended at this time. It's just in your bag or on your person, put away. It's not crazy. It's not like, ooh, I saw the outline in your pocket, I'm taking it. Not like that. That's not what we're saying. If you get it out and look at it, okay, now we're taking it. And it's going to be a culture shift for us a little bit, because it's going to have to be a hard sell of, if the phone is out, we're taking it. It's not a warning. It's not a discussion. It is a we are taking it. Your warning is to go get it from the front office, and then don't do it again. I think it'll take a little while. It'll take 4 to 5, 6 weeks. Once we get through that trend, it'll be normal. It'll be normal for the kids, and life will be running smooth. That's what all the schools that have done it have reported. I have a nephew who's at Abilene Wiley as a senior this year. He's talked about it. He's like, it's really no big deal. It's easy. We roll through it now. They took them away at lunch, and the principal, she bought a lot of board games and card games. They had Texas Hold'em breakout in a lot of places. They had to make sure they weren't actually exchanging money, so no gambling. But it was a cool math lesson. Kids learning proportions and ratios and percentages. Like, there's a lot of cool things you can teach with that. So the kids, they've loved it. Their report is actually really good. So, anything else to add, thoughts? Question, yes, ma'am?
How would that work as far as them getting on the buses? Like, would that also be...
right now the proposed policy is at 3:48 when the final bell rings, their phones can be back out. So if they're getting on the bus, they can have their phone. Now, I know the bus has rules already of no headphones or anything like that, so you can listen for instructions. So that's already one of their rules. So it probably wouldn't change much on the bus, if I were guessing. So
When are we planning on implementing?
this would be in the fall of 25, next school year. Yeah, we're not doing anything right now. I told the seniors, guys, y'all got 23 days. Like 23 times you have to show up and see me again. Just please stick with me for 23. Like, senioritis is a thing, and I get it. It was for all of us. You're 18, you think you know everything, and I was too, but 23 days, and then 27 is all we have of actual school days until the end of the school year. So yeah, graduation is 27 actual school days away. So 37, I think the countdown's right over there, 37 actual calendar days. So yeah, we're getting close. So, any others? All right, we are available. Oh, right there, Ms. Stokey.
I'm not trying to put teachers on the bus, however, I know this happened many moons ago when my daughter was in the 3rd grade. She had a teacher who was constantly on her phone and not on her phone in school tasks. I've worked at many schools, all the schools at the school district, and I see teachers on their phones, and they're not. So these are high school, middle school kids. They're going to go, well, and I understand what you guys are saying, and I agree wholeheartedly. But their argument is going to be, well, my teacher has their phone. They're not on doing school. They're not doing. Do you understand?
Yeah, that's the question that's come up each time. Yeah. Yeah. So the question is, basically, what about adults? If kids have to get off, don't adults have to get off? That's the honest truth, right? And the answer is yes. I tell teachers all the time, kids are engaged as much as you are engaged with them. You lose engagement with the class when you stop engaging with the kids. Kids will engage with you, but you have to engage with them. You can't expect them to do it first. The same is true of this policy. And I think once we take it away from the kids and the teacher looks up and is like, oh, I've got to do something now. I think they will. I will be honest, I think we've gotten a little comfortable since COVID. We've gotten a little relaxed that, things changed and it's time for us to come back a little bit from some of that it's not the device, it's not the program, it's not the Chromebook that makes the learning successful, it's the teacher and the student in a relationship that is fostering learning. That's what needs to happen. So yeah, our teachers are going to have to get off their devices. Unless it's for safety purposes, we do have a button on our phones that if we hit that because of an active shooter, it goes automatically to all the police that are within a 30-mile radius. So everybody will show up, first responders, if we hit that button. Teachers will still have that, so they can do that. But for the most part, yeah, teachers are going to have to get off their devices too. So, yeah. No, it's a fair question. It's a totally fair point. I'm ready to tell Mr. Carnes, I'm sorry, I can't respond to anything you sent me because I'm not on my phone. So sorry, Mr. Carnes, you'll have to call me later.
It's not just middle school and high school that teachers are on their
Right.
phones.
Right. And I appreciate you bringing that up. That's why Mr. Carnes is here, and I appreciate his involvement. Most of the issues are at high school because we have allowed the most independence with the phones, but this is a K through 12 conversation. This is not just the high school ban. This is from kindergarten through 12th grade. This is the district policy. So we're not talking about just the high school. We're talking about every grade level. So.
I'm not trying to put your because I love the teachers that are here. My daughter absolutely adores teachers she's had been with since the fifth grade, even though she hasn't been coaches and everything, you know, so it's just.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
At what age are kids getting cell phones now? Or what grade?
High school.
That depends on each.
Whenever they-
That depends on each parent. I will tell you that depends on every parent and what they have going on in their own personal situation. My wife found a group called Wait Till 8th. It's a group out of Austin that talks about not getting your kid a device until after 8th grade. That is what we subscribe to in our families, but there are lots of other people that have them different. We're a little different in my house. I give my kid a flip phone for 1 year to prove they can manage the phone. My kids just have to endure the teasing that comes with that. So, and I don't care, learn to deal with it. But it is cool to see them like hate having to hit the button 3 times to send a text. Like it's amazing that we used to think that was so cool. I can send this text and and now we're so used to just having the keyboard. But it is up to each family what they do. I'm not going to judge, that's that family's choice of what they want to do. But here at school, we want it to be about school. So that's what we want to keep it focused on. So, yeah. I know some, they have them as early as 3rd grade, 4th grade. Yeah, and some younger, it's up to each family as to what they have going on. Some families, both parents work. And they've got to do that to make it work. They've got to find a way, their kids doing things. Like, there are real reasons people do it. But we were blessed that we didn't have to do that. So. Any others? Okay, thank y'all guys very much. Like I said, we are going to get this saved somehow probably tomorrow so we can get the slides on there, post it out, and then let people respond to the survey. But we know the ones that were here, we appreciate y'all coming very much and engaging in the conversation. Thank y'all for sending your kids to us each and every day. We know that that's the most precious possession that you have, so we do the best we can to keep them safe. And that's what this conversation is really about. Okay, thank y'all very much. If you want to sit around and talk, we'll be around for 30 seconds, and then we're all looted.